Good morning, everyone. Please be informed that this event will start in 2 minutes. Thank you. Uh, Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Masulong na Agham at Teknolohiya para sa Kaunlaran webinar, an online public information awareness campaign by the DOST in collaboration with the Committee on Science and Technology of the House of Representatives. My name is Nicole Chavez, and I will be your moderator for today. So before we proceed, may we please invite everyone for the singing of the Philippine National Anthem. Once again, good morning. Welcome to the Masulong na Agham at Teknolohiya para sa Kaunlaran webinar, an online public information awareness campaign. We would like to thank everyone for taking time off to attend our event, our guests from the Congress, the Presidential Legislative Liaison Office, and our colleagues from the DOST-ASTI. We appreciate you for gracing us with your presence today. Once again, thank you and welcome to our event. So before we start, just a few reminders for today's online program. Please be informed that this online event is being recorded. To ensure the smooth course of our program, speakers and moderators are encouraged to turn their videos and microphones on during their presentation. Audience is requested to keep their microphones muted to allow participants to focus on the presentation. Open the chat pane. Later on, during our question and answer portion, participants may type in their questions in the chat pane to be addressed by the speakers and moderators during the Q&A session. For those who are streaming this event via Facebook Live, you may send us your questions to our resource speakers by typing them in the comment box. A designated moderator will be relaying them to the speakers during the Q&A session. Lastly, a copy of the resource materials for this webinar will be available throughout the session by scanning the QR code now flashed on your screen. You can also access them directly by visiting our website at asti.dost.gov.ph. For everyone's reference, now flashed on the screen is our program for today. Today's event na Masulong na Agham at Teknolohiya para sa Kaunlaran webinar comes with the objective of highlighting science, technology, and innovation programs and policy advocacies that need legislation. Now, to officially get things rolling, let me introduce to you our first speaker for the welcome remarks. He is a graduate of BS Electronics and Communications Engineering and MS in Electrical Engineering at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. He earned his PhD in Electronic and Electrical Engineering at the University of Southampton in the United Kingdom in 2014. He also served as part of the UP Faculty for Engineering students with interests in digital signal processing for audio and communications. He was also involved in one of the collaborative projects of the DOST-ASTI with UP Diliman as the project leader for the development of the Philippine Indigenous Instrument Sounds Database, also known as Project Katunog. Last April 15, he was officially sworn into office as the new director of the DOST-ASTI. Please welcome Dr. Francis Yunta de Leon.
Thank you, Nicole. Good day to everyone who are with us in this event. To our colleagues from the Department of Science and Technology, DOST-Advanced Science and Technology Institute, Secretary Fortunato de la Peña, DOST-DLLO Director Lita Suerte Felipe, House Speaker Lord Alan Velasco, Undersecretary Luz Wilfreda E. Pascual, Undersecretary Jacinto V. Paras, and Assistant Secretary Maria Rowena Flores Saban, Honorable Erico Aristotel C. Aumentado, Committee Secretary on Science and Technology Donald Amado Montes Caballero, and everyone here with us today. I hope you are all in good health. It is with great honor that I welcome you all as we share with you the DOST-Advanced Science and Technology Institute's new developments, initiatives, and coup in the field of microelectronics, information and communications technology, space technology, and other related fields, which were all created for the benefit of our society. Together with DOST, we have been continuously working to deliver relevant and timely technological innovations that provides ease in everyday life for our fellow Filipinos. The current situation caused by the pandemic has further challenged DOST-ASTI to produce technology-driven solutions that will help make services for our country more accessible to people and for the government to provide accurate data and information to the public. Right now, the agency has been providing these services to various parts of country in planning for disaster response, agricultural solutions, and satellite imagery, to name a few. In this event, we will be highlighting these services, which are the Computing and Archiving Research Environment, or CORE, the Philippine Research, Education, and Government Information Network, or PREGINET, the Philippine Earth Data Resource and Observation Center, or PEDRO Center, the Philippine Applications and Philippine Earth Data Resource Observations, or DATOS, Field Sensors, MASID, Gul.AI, Kooha Mobile and Web Application, and the Enterprise Resource Planning, or ERP system. Along with the developers and researchers from DOST-ASTI, we aim to share with our guests and attendees how these innovations work and how they are relevant in the progress of the society. In turn, we also hope that these developments help our respected lawmakers in providing legislative actions to further strengthen research and development in the field of science and technology in the Philippines. We look forward today for everyone to grow more interest and appreciation towards science and technology as we start today's event. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you very much, Doc Franz. Now, to give us a special message as part of our program, let us all watch this video from DOST Secretary Fortunato T. de la Peña.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Department of Science and Technology, I would like to thank all of you for taking the time to be here today. We at the Department of Science and Technology are very honored to showcase the initiatives from one of our research and development institutes, the Advanced Science and Technology Institute. For the past 34 years, DOST-ASTI has proven its valuable efforts in the field of information and communications technology and microelectronics through extensive research and development. Some of the services and technologies we will be presenting to you today involve advancements on disaster management, satellite and space technology, high-performance computing, agriculture, and many others. Take, for instance, the INNOVATE program, or the Information Network for Open and Viable Applications and Technology Exchange. Under INNOVATE is PREGINET, or the Philippine Research, Education, and Government Information Network, which interconnects research, education, and government institutions, and we also have the COARE facility, or the Computing and Archiving Research Environment, which targets to enable data integration from ASTI-initiated projects with other agencies that have high requirements for data storage and high-performance computing. For satellite and space technology and disaster management, we have the PEDRO Center, which champions DOST-ASTI's space facilities with its satellite tracking antenna and ground receiving station to access Earth surface information for disaster management, environmental monitoring, and national security, among many others. We also have the AI for mapping, which covers Earth observation and the use of artificial intelligence and satellite images for disaster risk reduction and agriculture. The meteorological data acquisition stations for information dissemination, or MASID technologies, on the other hand, features several weather monitoring stations that were deployed and designed to automatically gather on-site weather data and to alert communities during an approaching typhoon or bad weather. Artificial intelligence, or AI, opened new opportunities in innovation, especially in the growth of agriculture in the Philippines. For that, we have Project Gul.AI, which combines the concept of ICT and agriculture, especially in the field of crop science. We also have the newly launched Kooha App, a social sensing network application capable of real-time participatory photo and sensor data collection through smartphones. Lastly, as we acknowledge the need to modernize how we manage our resources in the government, we have the Enterprise Resource Planning, or ERP system, developed to help government offices improve their productivity and efficiency through the different modules in the system. As we go through our program today, we will be hearing more about these advancements from DOST-ASTI. We will also be hearing more from the Institute's newly appointed director, Dr. Franz A. De Leon, about DOST-ASTI's legislative agenda and their R&D and technology transfer initiatives. To our honorable guests and to all our attendees, we hope today's event will spark more interest for you to see how advancements in science and technology in the Philippines has been improving and continuing to strive to the nation's future. Again, thank you and magandang agham sa ating lahat.
Now, for the next part of our program, this event will not be complete if not for our guests from the House of Representatives. That said, let us all welcome Committee Secretary Donald Amado M. Caballero from the Committee on Science and Technology from the House of Representatives.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry for that. Medyo I am really surprised that instead of the chair will be speaking for you, you opted to choose me in behalf of the chair. Thank you so much for this. Allow me to greet some of the committee secretaries who are here and for those who are very passionate and always in attendance with the different webinars. Um, to start with, I just have this computer of mine, okay? While no one knows how long the coronavirus disease outbreak will continue to spread, and with lockdowns and home offices becoming our new normal, it's been a challenge for all of us on how we as a people or an organization adapt the continuous changes occurring in our field. New ideas and expectations are the new normal. Now we have to look for the positive aspect of life and turn this negativity into an open opportunity for us to reboot and enhance ourselves with the necessary skills, knowledge, trainings, and technologies available with us. Today, we choose to create, to build, and to work toward a new normal through these DOST webinars. We are very privileged today because DOST-Advanced Science and Technology, or ASTI as they call themselves, will share their programs and activities. DOST-ASTI is mandated to undertake long-time research and strengthen and modernize science and technology infrastructure, conduct research and development work in the advanced fields of studies, including microelectronics, and complement overall endeavor in the scientific field with intensive activities. And I would like to congratulate ASTI, especially their former executive director who now heads the Philippine Space Agency, which is a newly created office under the Office of the President. They are committed to contribute to the attainment of national development priorities and the growth of Philippine enterprises by providing innovative solutions using information communication technology and electronic technologies. And by this, they have already transferred or created the Department of Information and Communication Technology. So unti-unti pong nawawalan ng dumadami po ang creation ng ating ASTI. Nandyan ang PILSA, nandyan po ang Department of Information and Communication Technology, and continuously adopt measures or technologies and innovate themselves. And because of this, DOST accomplishment would not be possible if not for its commendable researchers and staff working behind the curtains to ensure the delivery outputs constantly expected of the Institute. And congratulations to them. Alam ko, they are very a silent worker. And the field of science and technology is an ever-changing field. Our knowledge of something became outdated, and we need to learn new ideas to cope up with the changes, like what is happening right now. We're not attending seminars, but instead we're having a virtual webinars. We have to move and adapt quickly considering the fast-paced nature or environment in their field, most especially when there is a disaster, calamity, or pandemic events that utilizes its output for effective management. We have to tailor fit and end users like local government units, academe, and researchers on their respective need in order that these resources can be practicable, applied in their field. End users should be able to cope alongside the technologies in order to increase efficiency in support in prevention, monitoring to save valuable human lives. We all benefit from this research and technology, and we highly appreciate these modern technologies and its many applications, which produces and communicates relevant disaster information to agencies and key end users. Science, when properly applied, can always help us move forward and progress. During these challenging times, research and development should respond to the needs of time on how to make helpful projects that will be useful, accessible, and sustainable to the benefit of the community. We can establish a set of norms and expectations and prepare for a new set of ideas, opportunities, knowledge, skills, and trainings needed in this time of uncertainty. Innovation and learning go hand in hand. Our dream is that more people will be able to gravitate to the use of modern technology. We hope that more Filipino people will easily see and help that they can acquire from these gifts, from these new methods. We should not stop showing our gifts, talents, skills, and willingness to learn and adapt to the changes around us. We hope we shall continue to work on projects that could change how the government does things, which streamlines and automates government administrative process and aims to discover and merge duplicate records in the government database and facilitate sharing among the government agencies. May all of us gathered in this webinar be an advocate of bridging technology and the people and help DOST-ASTI in its continuous commitment to the development of the Filipino society and the Philippines as a nation. Let us help and contribute in their aim to bridge ASTI's technologies, our technologies, for the people through technology transfer initiatives and commercialization. As of now, maybe we are wondering or should realize that we should give more focus on the medical community. Given the current health crisis, we are behind in terms of medical health technologies and infrastructure. It's about time that our government be highly integrated with the aid of the tools that we develop such citizens with the aid will have the best experience when availing government services. The outcome of this project would have a societal impact and would help improve the condition of the marginalized sectors. We should give hope that the outputs prepared by the team or the DOST-ASTI are translated well in real life, that they really prove to be useful to those who need them. We must look forward for providing outputs that will be beneficial for the people of today and tomorrow. There are more studies today that may not be integrated for people in a few years' time, but be able to save other people. Finally, allow me to thank DLLO, especially Director Lita Suerte, DOST Secretary Boy de la Peña, and ASTI, your DOST family, for sharing this information and expertise, not only in their tangible outputs, but also their shared and transferred knowledge during the coordination meetings and webinars that will provide useful Filipinos. We thank you for your shared knowledge with partnered agency B, the impetus of these technologies to be disseminated and exhaustively accessed by their fellow Filipinos. Thank you very much, DOST. Thank you very much, DOST-ASTI and the LLO.
Thank you very much for that message, Committee Secretary Caballero. Now, before we proceed with our event, may we just remind everyone that you can access the resource files for today's event via the ASTI website or by scanning the QR code that's supposedly should now be on your screens. So this will take you to the official event page where you can download the presentations, project briefs, and other reference materials online for our program for today. Now it's time for us to hear about the different projects and initiatives from the DOST-ASTI. First one on the lineup will be discussing the DOST-ASTI's Computing and Archiving Research Environment, or CORE, and the Philippine Research, Education, and Government Information Network, or PREGINET, under ASTI's INNOVATE program. She has been involved in project management since becoming part of the DOST-ASTI in 2003. From 2011, she has been the lead project manager for a number of major DOST-ASTI projects in the area of grid computing, high-performance computing, and e-governance. Recent projects she handled include the core facility and the Integrated Government Philippines, or iGovPhil, Remote Sensing and Data Science Help Desk, or the DATOS project, and the NTC NetMesh project. Please welcome Ms. Jelena Titanco.
Thank you, Nicole. Good morning, everyone, especially to our guests from the House of Representatives, from DOST, Director Franz De Leon, and my fellow colleagues from the Advanced Science and Technology Institute. So I'll be presenting on, by the way, I'm Jeng Tatanco, and I'll be presenting on the S&T infrastructures as the backbone of scientific research and development. Okay, so this first slide, just to explain, at DOST-ASTI, our programs and projects are aligned to the national priorities and R&D agenda. So one of the pillars of Ambition natin 2040 is Kaunlaran, and it is focused on increasing potential growth. And in support of this, one of the outcomes identified in the Philippine Development Plan of 2017 to 2022 to address the country's potential growth is to build a foundation for a globally competitive knowledge economy where accelerated technology adoption and stimulated innovation are at the forefront. So with the three pillars of Ambition natin 2040 as guiding principles, the DOST came out with a Harmonized National Research and Development Agenda, or HNRDA, which sets the national R&D priority areas and programs in the sectors of health, agriculture, aquatic and natural resources, industry, energy and emerging technologies, and disaster reduction and climate change adaptation. So part of the DOST-ASTI's mandate is to undertake long-term research to strengthen and modernize S&T infrastructures. So the agency identified three major programs that captures our current initiatives and addresses the direction we envision for the next 2 decades. So let me focus on EXPAND, or the Environment for Extreme Computing, Performance, and Networking Development. So the vision for EXPAND is to become a global center of excellence in HPC, advanced computing, and scientific research, innovation, in ICT. That's attuned to local, regional, and global developments and needs by the year 2040. So central to EXPAND are the S&T infrastructures maintained by the DOST-ASTI, which we call the Information Network for Open and Viable Applications and Technology Exchange, or INNOVATE. So INNOVATE drives innovation activities by enabling data-driven and ICT-based R&D solutions to solve pressing national problems such as COVID-19, food security, and disaster risk reduction, among others. Okay, so let me go a little bit deeper into what EXPAND is. The EXPAND program emphasizes the importance of national S&T infrastructures in providing the network backbone and computing capacity to support the national R&D agenda. Okay, so INNOVATE is comprised, like what Nicole said, of the National Research and Education Network, called the Philippine Research, Education, and Government Information Network, or PREGINET, and a national HPC and science cloud facility, which we call the Computing and Archiving Research Environment, or CORE. So these infrastructures enable technology development, dissemination, and data transfer and exchange that benefit the local scientific community. But how exactly does it benefit the local scientific community? Okay, so let's discuss first what a National Research and Education Network is, or NREN. When we talk about an NREN like PreGenet, we usually focus on the physical infrastructure. So what are NRENs and how are these different from commercial providers of internet? Another important aspect of an NREN is the motivation for having one. So why do most countries invest in setting up and operating their own national research and education network? Okay, so in terms of the physical infrastructure, NRENs are similar to commercial internet providers. So it has a network backbone, a last mile connectivity, a network operation center, clients that are connected to the network, and connection to the rest of the world. So in this slide, if you see the picture, it's colored cyan. No? It's the map of PreGenet, and it shows the connection of PreGenet domestically as well as internationally. I'm sorry, it's too small, so you can't see the details, but trust me when I say that you can see it from this picture. Okay. So in terms of the purpose for having the network, that's where the big difference lies. Okay, so mainly research and education networks run high performance, high bandwidth applications that support scientific breakthroughs in research, and they serve as test beds for innovation. So a number of technologies started out as technology experiments on an NREN before they were rolled out and adopted commercially. So the World Wide Web, or the internet, was started on a research and education network, actually. So other technologies include IPv6, voice over IP, software-defined networks, and a lot more. Okay. So over these networks, large data transfers are carried out across continents, enabling cross-institution and cross-country collaboration on high-impact research activities. So again, if you see this slide, right beside the PreGenet map is a TAIN map, and TAIN stands for the Trans-Eurasia Information Network. Okay, so TAIN is a research and education network aggregator in the Asia Pacific that connects the region to the European Research and Education Network called GEONT. So the Philippines is connected to TAIN through our direct links to Hong Kong, Singapore, and Japan, which the Philippine government funds through our ASTI GAA. Okay. So on the domestic side, although you will not see this from the slide, currently we maintain a strong alliance with SUCs that have strong research programs, and these SUCs act as our hubs in strategic locations across Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. So the universities connected or that will be connected to these hubs will form our Science Community Research Network. So among these universities are the whole UP system, Central Luzon State University, Mariano Marcos State University in Batac, Ilocos, MSU-IIT, Batangas State University, and Pangasinan State University. Okay, so that's the physical infrastructure. Let us now get into the activities that actually run on this kind of physical infrastructure. So a significant part of these infrastructures are actually the research and collaboration activities that are carried out over these networks. And these are the activities that put value into this S&T infrastructure. Okay, so in the interest of time, what I have on this slide are just two examples. Okay, so on the left side, in terms of telemedicine activities, our active involvement in the Asia Pacific Advanced Network medical working group over the years has led to our strengthened linkages with major hospitals in the country, including PGH, St. Luke's, Cardinal Santos, Cebu Doctors, National Kidney Transplant Institute, and Makati Medical Center. So DOST-ASTI is a significant partner of the Telemedicine Network of the Philippines, and it acts as its lead technical consultant. Okay, so just On the left side, you see a picture of a live surgery which was conducted at Rizal Medical Center. And while this was going on live, other hospitals and other doctors from different parts of the world are able to watch this. And as you can see from the picture of I'm not sure what organ it is, but it's very high quality. It's very um, what do you call this? If you stream this on a commercial internet, it wouldn't look as clear as it is in this picture. So the significance of telemed telemed has been especially noteworthy since the start of the pandemic last year. Telemed activities of the TNT related to COVID-19 have paved the way for cooperation among the country's hospitals and doctors toward managing its treatment and ensuring safety protocols in our hospitals. No? And just to add, around four medical societies, Philippine medical societies, are also part of the TNT. Okay, so in terms of mirror site, so first of all, what is a mirror site? A mirror site is a website or a set of data sets on a server that has been copied to another server or another location so that the site or files are available from more than one location. So mirror sites are used to make site access faster when the original site is geographically distant from those who are accessing it. So a local mirror would allow users close to the mirror site to get faster and more reliable access. Okay, so DOST ASTI hosts a mirror server of the Himawari 8 satellite of Japan. So Himawari 8 is a Japanese weather satellite operated by the Japan Meteorological Agency. So the Philippines is the second site in the ASEAN region to have a mirror server of the Himawari 8, and the other one being Thailand. Okay, so these are just two examples of the activities that are carried out over a research and education network. Okay, so over the network layer, DOST has ASTI has likewise set up the systems and applications layer through the establishment of the core facility. So currently we have 3 sites, with the main site at our premises in DOST ASTI, where we fabricated a 40-foot container van to become a research data center. Okay, so our second site is in DICT, and our third site is in a commercial data center in Makati. So since 2008, the institute has gained considerable competence. Um, sorry. In grid, HPC, and cloud computing. So presently, Core caters to a diverse number of users that includes meteorologists, weather scientists, climate researchers, marine scientists, bioinformatics, and genomic scientists and researchers, as well as MS and PhD students. So we have facilitated more than 400 local researchers and scientists and have supported projects and researches in the areas of disaster management, rice genomics, bioinformatics, health research and development, and COVID-19. So these are the areas that you see on the slide. So just to add, more than half of course users come from the academe or universities. There are also government agencies with need for computing and cloud resources that we work with and who use the core resources such as ASAF, EVOX, Sugar Regulatory Administration, DBM, NAMRIA, and PSA, okay, just to name a few. Okay, so Core provides 3 main services. So it's on the left side, it's high performance computing is the first one. Basically, it's for processing large amounts of data that require high speed number crunching and powerful computing resources that cannot be done on an ordinary PC. The second one is data archiving or storage, data storage. It's composed of a durable storage and a web-based repository that contains scientific, environmental, and geospatial data sets gathered from various researches. So we maintain also what we call the core data catalog. And the third one is Science Cloud, which provides cloud-based services to researchers and students through the provision of virtual machines. So on this slide, you see just a timeline of how the core resources have increased over the years. Okay, from just a 9 terabyte storage to now we're over uh, 13 to 14 terabytes of storage, and we still plan to increase this within the year and the coming years. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that we also maintain a core data catalog, and these are just uh, the data sets that are stored in that data catalog. So we have satellite images, storm surge hazard maps, drought hazard maps, flood hazard maps. That's flood, that's not floor. Okay. And we also host the 3,000 rice genome data sets from the International Rice Research Institute. So right now we're still continue to populate this data catalog. Okay, so this is important. So I have to mention the COVID initiatives that we have supported since last year. As you can see, CORE is hosting a number of researches and initiatives on COVID-19. So I wouldn't get into it in the interest of time, but these are examples of that, and these are both from government-led initiatives and university-led initiatives. Okay, so what are the upcoming activities of Innovate? So the first one, you can see the ASEAN HPC. This initiative intends to establish an ASEAN shared facility that aims to benefit ASEAN member states. So how does it do that? By enhancing research in specific domains which are of national interest. So for example, in the Philippines, it's probably disaster management, right, or COVID-19. So next is to provide a common platform for research collaborations and data sharing. And third is for resources and cost sharing as well. Okay, so to enable the shared HPC to be accessible by all ASEAN member states, international and domestic networks are very important for infrastructure. So PREGINET has a crucial role here, as well as the HPC environment. Okay, so next is the HENP. HENP stands for High Energy and Nuclear Physics. So there is an HENP in PH consortium. So connectivity to CERN for this DOST-funded project is going to be established. Okay, so for this project, Innovate's domestic and international connectivity is crucial. So the HENP consortium is participated by Philippine universities with strong HENP programs, including UP Diliman, UP Los Baños, MSU IIT, DLSU, and some other universities. Okay, so these universities are connected to PREGINET. Most of them are connected to PREGINET, and this connection will enable the participating universities to access CERN resources. Okay, so on the other hand, since we have a connection to Europe via Innovate's international connectivity to global research and education networks, the infrastructure is ready for us to connect with CERN. So we're just waiting for this. The third one, the one on the right upper corner is the ARENA Pact. This is a new regional backbone network with a central exchange point in Guam. So together with Japan and Indonesia, the Philippines will be one of the identified sites, since we will soon be having a direct link to Guam as well. The last one is Copernicus. Copernicus is the European Union's Earth observation program that initiated the Sentinel constellation of Earth observation satellites, including Sentinel-1A and Sentinel-1B that provides radar imagery for land and ocean services, so which our DATOS team uses in generating their AI-based hazard maps. So talks with the European Space Agency as well as the Philippine Space Agency for the hosting of a mirror site in the Philippines is already underway. So these are just four of the major upcoming activities that that we are expecting. Okay. So what's our future direction? Okay. We have a short, midterm, and long-term plans. For the short term, uh, we plan to upgrade our facilities and server. Of course, as you know, equipment technology becomes obsolete every 3 to 5 years, so we have to constantly upgrade our servers, our facilities, the technologies that we use. Okay, so the CERN collaboration, as I discussed, the ARENA pack, and the Copernicus mirror site. So short term because in the next few months or until early next year, these are expected to be implemented. On the midterm plan, the ASEAN HPC is part of this. And in connection to that, we also plan to set up a national shared HPC facility. So aside from ASTI, there are other universities that are maintaining or want to set up their own HPC facility. So that is the purpose of having a national shared HPC facility. Okay. And again, of course, facilities and server upgrades is still part of this. And in the long term, well, hopefully, we will have a national HPC center. So I've seen some house bills on for example, a big data center bill, an AI facility bill. So this can probably be integrated with this national HPC center. Okay. So what are the potential policy areas for this that we can think of for innovate? So one, we use the income that we generate, hopefully for operations and maintenance of innovate. Okay, so right now we're fully funded or we're fully supported by GAA funding. And if we could use the income that we generate from Innovate, the payment of our partners, then that would also help in our operations and maintenance. Next is to secure annual funding to sustain international and local links and for upgrade of facilities and equipment. This has always been a yearly challenge for us, securing this funding. And I think later in Dr. Franz De Leon's presentation, we will discuss more about this. And lastly, I've mentioned this in the long-term plan, is the creation of a national HPC center. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for the attention, and I apologize if my presentation was longer than it was supposed to be. Again, good morning to everyone.
Thank you, Ma'am Jeng. Our next speaker will be talking about the DOST-ASTI's PEDRO Center, or the Philippine Earth Data Resource and Observation Center. He is a Senior Science Research Specialist at the DOST-ASTI Solutions and Services Engineering Division. He is also a 2019 Presidential Lingkod Bayan awardee and was involved in the BIRDS-2 Cube satellite project from November 2016 to September 2018. During that time, he also served as a satellite project manager at the Kyushu Institute of Technology in Japan. Currently, he is the ground station operation operator of the PEDRO Center. Please welcome Mr. Joven C. Javier.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joven, and I will be introducing to you the PEDRO Center. PEDRO is an acronym which stands for the Philippine Earth Data Resource and Observation Center. It was implemented in 2015 with the aim to establish a ground receiving station that enables a broad range of access to optical and radar data. Since the establishment in 2016, it supported the operation of our very own Diwata microsatellite. It was established as a country's ground receiving station for communicating to space assets as a medium to get all the space-borne information like imagery in order to process and extract the essential information on it and to distribute it to our stakeholders. Currently, we have two ground receiving stations established by the PEDRO Center. One is in Quezon City, located at the DOST-ASTI in UP Diliman, and the second one is located in Davao, near the Davao City Airport. In the next slide shows the ASTI ground receiving station here in Quezon City. Image on the left is the ground receiving antenna, which used to track the satellite when it passes over the ground station. Image on the right is the ground station control room, where we used to control the satellite and send instruction and to download all the necessary data from space. Here is the time-lapse construction of what the Davao GRS looks like. We install a radome structure in order to protect the antenna from extreme weather, especially from typhoon winds. We also have GRS soon to be operational in Dumangas, Iloilo. But this GRS is part of the project of JICA called ULAT project. In space technology, there are three important segments: the space, the ground, and the application. The space segment deals with the spacecraft or the satellite which is orbiting around the Earth that is gathering information to the ground. The ground operations segment is the middleman in between space and application. It operates to send commands to the satellite and download the data, and the ground receiving station forwarded those downloaded data to the application segment. So the application segment mostly composed of the remote sensing team who usually process the raw information from the satellite. On the next slide shows the variety of the space and commercial subscribed assets that we have. Two of them is our very own Diwata satellites. But the Diwata one is already decommissioned, but still we have the Diwata 2 in operation. ComSat satellite is from Korea, and the rest is from US, except the Novusar from UK. Now, why we are still subscribing to commercial satellites when we have our own? Answer is, satellite passes is limited to access in around 10 minutes. So limitation of the satellite passes, so we need the other satellites to acquire, and stakeholders also have a different requirements according to application in terms of optical image resolution, spectral bands, and etc. And also, subscribing to commercial satellites will increase the access to spaceborne data. The day-to-day operation takes place when we receive requests from our stakeholders. Sometimes, we use to anticipate these requests. And kapag may bagyo, usually, the mission planning team anticipates the passes of the satellite. So the mission planning team plan ahead of time where the satellite will pass and what are the prospective targets. Now, the ground operation team, which I belong, implemented that plan. We send this instruction and commands to satellite in order to capture the target and download those information on the next passes and make it sure that it will forwarded to the remote sensing team in order to process the data into more refined information before it goes to our stakeholders. In summary, for the operation, there are four important stages: the planning, which we need to plan ahead of time, the satellite schedule or passes, the upload or sending the instructions to the satellite, what the satellite will do in orbit for the next succeeding days. One of it is capture or implementations of the commands. And lastly, the download, which we gather all the information from the satellite and process here on the ground into more essential or to extract that information from that raw data and distribute to government agencies and stakeholders. Now, we will go to the satellite image application. Some of the application of satellite image lies on disaster risk management, environmental monitoring, and defense and security. This is one of the example product of the PEDRO Center. After the landfall of Typhoon Falcon last July 17, 2019, the image on the left is captured by a ComSat-5. By the way, ComSat-5 is ESAR satellite. So it's not a camera, but it's a radar. So radars, SAR satellite penetrates through the clouds regardless of the weather condition and cloud cover. So this is an example of a post-typhoon image from a ComSat 5. And then image on the right is a processed one, which compares the pre and post disaster, which extract the informations of the extent of floods. So these flood maps are delivered immediately to Disaster Mitigation and Preparedness Agency to supply information they need to provide proper support on affected areas, such as halimbawa, ano yung mga lugar na still passable for search and rescue and relief operation. So the next slide is the same application. So still a flood maps, but different event. So kanina, in Typhoon Falcon is July 2019. This is Typhoon NN, which happens on the next month, August 2019. So we do also the post and the pre and post disaster process of the satellite image. Mayon volcano eruption in 2018 and Taal volcano in 2020. So the images are captured by ComSat 3A satellite. So on this image, April 5, 2019, ComSat 3A captured the Taal volcano. So during the eruption on January 16, 2020, we also tasked the satellite to capture the same spot, and we see the comparison. So before, there has a vegetation area. Kung titingnan ninyo yung image on the right, puno na siya ng ash fall. So it shows the possible destruction of the vegetation and draining of water in the main crater of Taal. Another application is the environmental monitoring. So this image processed by the DATO's help desk. So where by the Department of Budget and the management, digital information for monitoring and evaluation of Project DIME. So technically, the Project DIME is aims to augment the management arm of the DBM to leverage the use of modern technology like satellites, drones, and geotagging in monitoring the status, progress, activities of a big ticket government project. So here is the image of Boracay processed by the Datos team in 2013. You can see the percentage of vegetation area is 56.78. During 2017, so it reduced to 35.27. So kung gagawin mo yung work na to on the ground without the use of the satellite, it takes you months or even years to identify the percentage of the built-up area and the vegetation. But using the space technology, you can be able to see in a bird's eye view perspective the detailed or information in the ground. So mas mapapabilis yung pag-process natin or pag-extract ng informations para lang malaman natin kung ano yung update ng isang specific area in terms of vegetation. Another, from the project DIME, it is the farm to market road. So this is an example of a series of image capture by the satellite. So from May 26, July 7, and August 12. So the example of this is like when the contractor said that the project accomplished is, let's say, 75%. Now, what is the evidence that it is 75% accomplished? So kung mahirap puntahan yung lugar, mahirap siyang i-evaluate. But using satellite image, from your own eye, you can see or evaluate that there is a progress. So at least, hindi mo na kailangan pumunta doon sa lugar just to take a look or bumiyahe ka ng kilometro para lang malaman mo na okay, that there is an update or there is a big progress along the way. So ito yung months. So May, June, July, and then August. So this PEDRO Center capture a series of images just to monitor government big ticket project, including this one in New Clark City. So through COMSAT 3A, the PEDRO Center was able to take satellite images over New Clark City. It's from December 2018 to July 2019 to monitor the construction of a New Clark City sports complex. So during pandemic, we monitor and compare the changes in the traffic density in the Metro Manila. So image on the left is the ECQ, dated March 18, 2020. So during that time, kung titingnan nyo yung mga roads, halos wala na sasakyan. But when we go to GCQ, dated 4th of June, 2020, nagsimula na mag-build up yung traffic. So, difference from quarantine protocol indicates na from GCQ is nagkaroon na ng movement yung mga tao. So also, airport, we monitor the airport. So kung titingnan nyo yung GCQ time, walang nasa runway. So most of the planes are nakapark lang sa gilid. But nung nag-GCQ na, so may makita ka ng mga aeroplano na on the runway. So na-allowed na yung pag-travel. So na-restrict na, na-lift out na yung air flights during that time. For defense and security, so the Novostar satellite, which is also a synthetic aperture radar satellite, captures this image in misty flip. So it processed through an simple RGB. So it indicates the color of green and red, which means the satellite detected some structure changes on the misty flip. It is made possible through the SAR and with AIS project of the DOST-ASTI. Another defense and security application is we use the various satellites to subscribe so that the researchers could also monitor the ships in our base. And through, again, the DATU's help desk, this optical and SAR images shows ships in Manila Bay. I think the DATU's team will have their representative to more detailed information on how to process the image and extract the information from the raw. So PEDRO Center milestone. So after the establishment of the PEDRO Center here in Quezon City, we capped the antenna. Yung nakita nyo kanina sa first slide na bare lang siya na antenna parabolic dish. In 2018, we capped it with a radome to protect the antenna from extreme weather, same as in Davao. So it was launched on the same year, yung PEDRO portal. So itong nakikita niyo sa cursor ko, image on the left below. So it is a portal which yung mga image na nakaka-capture ni satellite is pwedeng ma-access dito, yung mga archive. So in November 2019, second GRS, which is in Davao, was inaugurated. So, and it established as an auxiliary antenna to provide redundancy and ensure continuous operation in case ASTI GRS cannot operate. Milestone. So as of 2021, PEDRO Center has catered 49 government agencies and academic institutions in 153 different images requests. Some of these request images is multiple. So, narito yung mga stakeholders na mostly nakikinabang ng mga image na at nagre-request sa PEDRO Center. So, PEDRO also signed end user license agreement or EULA to its stakeholders. Since 2019, there's a total of 64 EULAs were signed by the PEDRO Center with 38 for satellite images services and 26 for GIS training. So the roadmap, the PEDRO Center will continue to operate under the DOST-ASTI until it is fully transitioned to the Philippine Space Agency. Now, the construction for the Iloilo GRS, yung nakita nyo kanina, is still ongoing. The renovation for the ground station control and survey room will continue when the travel restrictions is lifted. At pwede na kami mag-travel, so we can continue to set up yung ground station sa Iloilo. So the 3.5 meter satellite tracking antenna was made possible through the collaboration. So this one, yung nakita nyo sa image below, through the DOST-ASTI's ULAT project. ULAT means Understanding Lightning and Thunderstorm Project, and the Japan International Cooperation Agency, or JICA, and the Science and Technology Research Partnership for Sustainable Development Program. And that ends my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Joven. Our next speaker will be talking about ASTI's AI for mapping under the DOST project. He is a data scientist and machine learning engineer at ASTI. He is an MS in Energy Engineering and BS Computer Engineering graduate from the University of the Philippines, Diliman. His area of specialization is the integration of AI and computer vision technologies on Earth observation data. Please welcome Mr. John Keithley L. de Fontoro.
Good day, everyone. I'm John Keithley de Fontoro, and I'll be presenting DOST-ASTI's efforts on applying artificial intelligence for mapping purposes. Like what was discussed earlier by the PEDRO team, DOST-ASTI houses a lot of Earth observation images from various satellites. At the forefront of this, of course, are our own microsatellites, Diwata 1, Diwata 2, and Maya 1. So maybe nagtataka kayo, why is the Philippines, a third world country, is heavily investing in these space assets? Well, there are a lot of reasons, and one of those reasons is so we could extract useful maps from these satellite images. And in this presentation, I will be highlighting a few examples of these maps. We are utilizing the power of data science and artificial intelligence in processing these images. Artificial intelligence, or AI, is actually a game changer in the field of remote sensing because it allows us to provide timely maps to our users and stakeholders. In comparison po dun sa typical na remote sensing workflow on satellite images, aabutin po ng days or even weeks bago tayo mapag-produce ng output maps. Or from the satellite images, using AI, we were able to produce these maps in a matter of hours. Most of our AI for mapping efforts are actually being handled by DOST-ASTI's DOST project. DOST project specializes in processing satellite imagery and other Earth observation data to produce pertinent maps used by various stakeholders. One of the project highlights was the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning in their remote sensing workflows to expedite and automate the production of their maps and to be able to handle on-demand support and requests from clients from disaster events like typhoons and earthquakes. So, why do we want to produce maps from these satellite images in the shortest time possible? Well, this point will be explained more clearly in a later slide. But for now, let me give you a highlight on a few of our outputs. The first application of these AI maps is on infrastructure assessment and detection. Shown here is a PlanetScope optical image of Baguio City. I think this was taken circa 2018, if I'm not mistaken. The yellow areas here shows the built-up areas of the city. We define built-up as any man-made structures. So this map shows the urban density of Baguio City at the time the image was taken. We can also further derive a lot of analysis from this AI map, and one of the more important ones include assessing urban sprawl of a particular area. So if we are able to produce built-up maps of a given area across different points in time, we are able to model yung degree of urbanization na nangyayari sa isang lugar sa paglipas ng panahon. The map on the screen shows yung increase of settlement areas in Davao City from 2013 to 2016. We were also able to detect road networks from satellite images. Shown here is a PlanetScope image of Muntinlupa City. We were able to train an AI model to be able to detect yung road network profile dito sa satellite image na to kahit na admittedly medyo low resolution na yung image na ginamit dito. Project Dime of DBM from the Build project uses these AI models that we developed to remotely detect changes dun sa ongoing na road infrastructure projects ng gobyerno. The next AI model, ito naman, kung yung kanina nakaka-detect ng buildings and other built-up areas, ito, yung dinidetect niya ay damaged na structures. So, in combination with the built-up AI model, this AI map can map out yung extent ng damage at a given location. The image shown here is a digital globe image of Marawi City after yung nangyaring siege or insurgency dun sa area. Proceed naman tayo sa AI mapping applications involving agriculture, fisheries, and resource management. So this application quantifies the level of drought in an area by using an indicative metric called the Vegetation Heat Index, or VHI. The VHI indicates yung level of vegetation in an area. Yung quote-unquote low health of a vegetated area denotes high stress levels dun sa vegetation due to dryness and heat. Yung VHI na to, this can be detected from satellite images. The more stressed the vegetation is, the more likely that it is experiencing drought. The image shown here is a VHI map of Occidental Mindoro on February 5, 2019. During this time, I think the Mindoro region is experiencing El Nino. And note the extreme levels po nung vegetation dun sa Occidental Mindoro area as shown on the lower left. Yung mga red areas dun sa mapa. We are also able to map out agricultural crops like sugarcane, rice, and corn from radar images through a technique called dynamic time warping, or DTW. In cooperation with the Department of Agriculture and Sugar and Regulatory Administration, mapping these high-value crops using advanced RS methods like the aforementioned dynamic time warping would help streamline and hasten yung activities nila like inventory, yield projection, monitoring, data analysis, and assessment. Using yung mga previous na AI models na na-develop like yung build-up and roads, we were also able to automate yung production ng land cover of a given region. Shown here is the land cover map of Butuan City from Agusan del Norte. The map is subdivided into 5 land cover classes. We have roads, bare soil, water, built up, and vegetation. The base image that was used here is a PlanetScope optical image. The development of this AI model is in collaboration with the National Mapping and Resource Information Authority, or NAMRIA. Another AI map that we developed is the detection of aquaculture structures from radar images. Using artificial intelligence, we were able to account, map, and monitor nationwide fish ponds and fish pen facilities. This research is in partnership with the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, or BIFAR. We also have a memorandum of agreement with the Philippine Statistics Authority for pursuing and sustaining collaborative research on the use of Earth observation data for PSA's 2022 Census on Agriculture and Fisheries, or CAF. This image shows the use of the developed AI models para sa inventory ng aquaculture structures sa Bolinao, Pangasinan. AI for mapping can also be used to detect trees and other types of vegetation from satellite images. Shown here is an AI-generated map of coconut trees from a digital globe image. Sorry, I forgot the location of this area. Ito naman, detection ng mango trees sa satellite image. This is part of an ongoing collaboration with the Bataan Peninsula State University. They are using this model for their inventory of existing mango trees for the whole Bataan province. The next applications of AI for mapping is on the subject of disaster risk management. If you'll recall kanina, I raised the question on the importance of producing timely maps as fast as possible. So in this section, I hope I could answer that question. This AI map shows areas kung saan may potential flooding. This one is a flood situation map of Cagayan, sa area ng Cagayan River, taken after typhoons Rolly and Ulysses made landfall in the province. The flood situation maps generated after every extreme weather event are sent to NDRRMC, OCD, DOST, and other affected LGUs to aid in their damage assessment efforts. This AI map application stresses the importance of having timely maps. Kasi if we would have to wait days for processing these maps, there is a high chance na po na humupa na yung baha by then. And as such, we won't be able to provide timely assessments as to the current situation on ground right after an extreme hazard event. Ito po another reason why it's important to produce timely disaster maps. The images show the areas before and after the landslide event in Naga, Cebu. So this one is the before image and this one is the after image. What we did was we ran the AI model for built-up detection dun sa before image para po mamapa namin kung nasaan yung exact location ng mga kabahayan. Then, we overlaid yung mapa ng mga bahay dun sa after image para malaman kung saan yung mga bahay na naapektuhan. Then, we forwarded these maps dun sa search and rescue operation team on ground. Using the generated AI maps, enabled the rescuers to prioritize kung saang areas magsisimula for search and rescue operations, since they have the location coordinates of the houses that were affected. The map shows the areas potentially affected by earthquake-induced landslides in Makilala, Cotabato. Artificial intelligence models were used to predict the bare soil and vegetation cover from PlanetScope satellite images. Yung mga areas po na nagkaroon ng change from vegetation to bare soil are interpreted as potential landslide areas. This image was shared with PHIVOX and the Cotabato LGU. In a similar application, this map shows the potential areas kung saan nagkaroon ng forest fires sa Kabayan, Benguet. So yung mga nagkaroon ng drastic change of land cover from vegetated to bare soil, yun yung mga potential areas na tinamaan ng forest fire. This is using PlanetScope images captured from January 28, 2020 to February 22, 2020. So this is a summary of the AI for mapping efforts that we have developed. The applications can be classified into 5 thematic areas: infrastructure, monitoring, food security, disaster risk reduction, climate change assessment, and security and defense. The ones in blue are the ones that we have existing memorandum of agreements. The ones in purple are the ones that we give freely pag may nanghingi po sa amin. And the ones in black are the ones in which we have ongoing talks for continuous development in the future. So with that, I will be ending my presentation. Thank you very much for listening and have a good day.
Thank you, Sir Kit. Our next speaker will be talking about MASID, or the Meteorological Data Acquisition Station for Information Dissemination. She is the head of the Visualization Unit of the Embedded System Group of DOST-ASTI. Her unit is responsible for data management of the technologies developed under SSED. She oversees the development of different data sharing platforms and software applications for various projects. Please welcome Ms. Jeanette D. Carlos.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Our team will be presenting the sustainability of ASTI-developed technologies and meteorological data acquisition stations for information dissemination, or MASID. MASID focuses on maintaining government efforts in strengthening the country's disaster preparedness and mitigation plan. From the project's name, sustainability, it will ensure the continuous operations of the deployed field sensors and the field sensors portal, which was funded under other 6 different disaster mitigation projects. The first of which is the hybrid AWS project that ran from 2010 to 2012. Next is the deployment of hydromet stations under the hydromet project from 2011 to 2014. Third would be the Met Buoy project from 2012 to 2015. Then comes the Agham climate change project, which was implemented from 2012 to 2019. Followed by the urban flood project from 2013 to 2015, and last but not the least is the DOST project from 2014 to 2017. MASID project is in line with 2 harmonized national and research and development agenda of the DOST, which are agriculture, aquatic, and natural resources. The agromet data gathered are used for informed decision-making on what crop to plant and on what location, and disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation. The ARQ and field sensors are innovations used to remotely collect near to real-time weather data and alert communities of impending disasters. MASID aims to ensure the continuous functionality of the technologies, which are crucial in forecasting and in minimizing natural or man-made catastrophe. Specifically, MASID shall maximize the purpose of the field sensors to ensure the sustainability of its operations, transfer the ownership of the field sensors to agencies that greatly benefit from the data that the stations collect, maintain the operations of the receiving, storage, and visualization of data collected, and continuously provide raw weather data to stakeholders for research and policy making. This project is about the ASTI-developed products and systems for environmental sensing and early warning. In the slides that follows, we will show you our locally developed ARQ, locally engineered field sensors, and in-house created field sensors website. Here you can see the timeline to when the technologies have been developed and improved over time. So in 2010, we have developed the AWS, WLMS, and box-type early warning system. For 2011, we have completed the design of the ARQ. Then in 2012 is ARG, updated WLMS, and tandem station. This is followed by urban flood, Met Buoy, and agromet station in 2013, and finally, in 2014 is the current design of our early warning system. Our locally designed and developed Advanced Remote Data Acquisition Unit, or ARQ, is the brain of the stations. It collects data from different environmental sensors and sends it wirelessly at a specified time interval. The Institute has also registered the ARQ for intellectual property under utility model and is now currently being mass-produced. Our field sensors are categorized into 5 types: the hydrometeorological stations, agrometeorological stations, urban flood monitoring stations, meteorological buoy, and early warning stations. These technologies were deployed and designed to automatically gather on-site weather data. Here you can see the designs of each of our stations. In the next 2 slides, we will show you the field sensors on the ground. First is the hydromet devices, or stations. which are the tandem station, a combination of WLMS and ARG, WLMS, AWS, and ARG. Next are the Agham station, Met Buoy, Urban Flood Station, and our Early Warning Station, or EWS. The EWS has 3 sirens for omnidirectional sound reaching up to 300 meters. It also has 4 warning levels: the alert, alarm, critical, and recession, and it can be triggered either manually or remotely. So here is how our system works. The field sensors gather data and send it through SMS or satellite. The GSM gateway server receives this data, and then a script processes it before storing it in the database. All the data are shown near real time on the field sensors website and shared with end users via API. This is the summary of installed field sensors per region. Overall, under the 6 previous projects, our agency is currently maintaining the functionality of 2,292 field sensors. Kindly note that some of our hydromet and early warning stations are being transferred to DOST Pag-asa under the optimization project. Now, this is the field sensors website developed to provide the public access to both historical and near real-time weather data. In this site, you will see the data gathered by our AWS, ARG, WLMS, Tandem Station, and the PPOTECA and VPOTECA for the ULAT project. On the right side, you can filter out the type of stations you want to see on the map. On the upper left corner is the search box to see the data of an installed station. You will see the status, and you can download the data as image or document. Clicking the Data Visualization tab, you will be directed to the next page of the site. You can type in the field sensors you want to see in the search bar, and you will see the graphical and tabular data of the field sensor. In 2017, we were able to publish and present the research paper entitled Hydromet: Deployment of Large-Scale Nationwide Hydrometeorological Sensor Network for Flood Warning and Monitoring at the EEGHTC 2017 conference in San Jose, California, USA. In the implementation of the 6 projects before MASID, we have conducted a series of IECs and flood drills, training for staff in maintaining and troubleshooting our products, and sharing our historical and raw data. We also give API accounts to individuals and concerned agencies after the accomplished and signed End User Licensing Agreement, or EULA. So far, the active API we have authorized are distributed to 26 government agencies, 22 state colleges and universities, and 6 non-government and private agencies. As proof of our field sensors reliability during disaster, this is the EWS in Minangasur, Cagayan during the onslaught of Typhoon Tisoy in December 2019. Our data were also used by Project eSmart in the hydrologic models of May-Kawayan River and Bulacan River Basin. Field sensors data are also used by other services of ASTI, such as DATOS and PEDRO, to complement the satellite images. Another milestones would be the patents and IP registration on all of our field sensors projects. Beginning 2012, we were able to register 4 of our products, and then 15 in 2013, 1 in 2016, 9 in 2018, and 3 in 2019. For our partnership, we have installed our field sensors in 86 cities and provinces. These cities and provinces can use the field sensors in relation to their disaster risk reduction activities. Likewise, data gathered from the field sensors are given to the end users after an accomplished and signed EULA. Our future plan involves enhancing the current ARQ to address some of its issues under the project called ARQ version 2.0. Also, as part of ASTI's Technology Licensing Office responsibility, the unit is assessing companies that may handle the production, distribution, and installation of the ASTI-developed technologies. That's all for MASID project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ma'am Jeanette. Our next speaker will be talking about the Gul.AI project. He is a graduate of Bicol University, Pulangi campus with a degree of Bachelor of Science in Computer Engineering. He is also currently taking up graduate studies, master's degree in Electrical Engineering at UP Diliman. He is a researcher and software engineer with 5 years of experience in web and mobile application development. He also leads various information systems development and R&D projects in computer software division of DOST-ASTI. Please welcome Mr. Roder J. B. Copino.
Agriculture is factually a vast sector, yet the first word that usually gets associated upon mentioning it is rice. Now, as a Filipino who mainly considers rice as a staple food, can you imagine your 10-year-old self not knowing what sinangag tastes like? Or if you're a fan of root crops, like potatoes, instead of rice, can you imagine yourself not being able to know the alluring taste of French fries? In a much simpler question, what are we today if not for our agriculture? Over the years, the promise and the high demand for a higher paying office jobs in metropolitan areas have caused a huge irony between having a vast arable land area in the Philippines and having a massive decline on the interest of youth in the agricultural sector. The beauty of the Philippines is incomparable, yet also it is as undeniable as the catastrophes and casualties that we annually experience due to our unfavorable geographical location, which gradually made our agricultural sector very much vulnerable to even a slight change in the weather condition. Why view these factors as hindrances if we could consider them instead to create something that will serve as a bridge in order for us to make use of the youth's interest in modern technology and of the Philippines' vulnerability to weather changes? Hence, the emergence of the proposed Project Gulay, which is an artificial intelligence alongside IoT assisted microscale plant growing and monitoring system, which aims to bring innovation to microfarming. As per the objective of this project, the first one is to develop a prototype of an AI and IoT enabled plant growing platform, which will be the hardware component of the Gulay. The goal is to develop the physical dimensions of the growing platform, small enough to fit in a normal sized backyard of enthusiasts or plant growers for their personal consumption, or indoor space like a regular room or laboratory for conducting scientific experiments on leafy plants. The platform will be fitted with various environmental sensors to gather data about the plants, calling the prototype as the Gulay platform. Second objective is to develop an online information management system to complement the Gulay platform. This will be composed of web and mobile software application that will provide the end user functionalities for managing and visualizing the collected datasets from the platform. Third objective is to gather the results of the real environment test and feedback of the target beneficiaries for the purpose of continuous improvement of the system being developed. Fourth objective is to introduce the developed system by conduct of trainings for the target beneficiaries for them to be aware of how to use the system. Gulay is intended to be aligned with the 2017 to 2022 Harmonized National Research and Development Agenda of DOST in the priority areas under the following: agriculture, aquatic, and natural resources. Through the Gulay system, researchers and plant growers may be able to manage the nutrient delivery needed by the crops being grown. Smart farming approaches through the application of IoT and AI to the Gulay system. Off-season production and cultivation. Since Gulay is a controlled environment, growing off-season crops may be done through the system. Development of climate-resilient technologies, since Gulay is designed to adapt in an indoor setting as well. And decision support system, since the data generated will help the researchers and plant growers in decision making in order to have quality yield. The project is also aligned with the priority areas under industry, energy, and emerging technology, with the application of artificial intelligence in Internet of Things to the Gulay system, wherein collected plant growth data can be used to develop models that can be used to predict aspects of the plant growth. The project aims to address this interest of Filipino youth in agriculture by promoting the fusion of agriculture and technology among the youth so that both fields will progress side by side in the next generation of Filipinos. Contribute to the food security in the country by providing Filipinos with a product that they can use for growing their own leafy vegetables indoor. Develop an experiment platform for plant breeding experts by application of emerging technologies. The output of the product of the project will contribute to the advancement of plant breeding in the country to better translate plant breeds into better food security and contribute to a better economy. Last is to gain the interest among the possible and initial target technology adopters like universities and colleges, secondary level schools, individual plant growers, since there will be a need for production in order to satisfy the demand. Gulay basically has three main components: software application, which composes of web and mobile application, Gulay platform, backend, and API services. In the interface of the web and mobile application, a researcher or an individual plant grower may define and control the experiment remotely through the internet, going to the platform. In an experiment, you may define a profile where you are able to set and modify parameters like the amount of nutrient solution, grow light settings, photo period, misting cycle, and more. The profile configuration defined from the application will then be sent to the platform. The platform is capable of sensing environmental parameters comprised of the plant growth dataset of the experiment, such as temperature, humidity, water and nutrient level, pH level, carbon dioxide, luminance, image snapshot, etc. Then, the experiment data will be sent to the backend and API services for storage and analysis. And lastly, the experiment data can be viewed and visualized back to the software application. Target milestones of the project. First is the establishment of partnership with identified initial beneficiaries. The project team were able to conduct consultation meetings with the University of the Philippines, Los Baños Institute of Plant Breeding, Nueva Ecija State University College of Agriculture, and the University of Rizal System with regards to the concept of the project. The project team was able to gather feedback and expression of intention for partnership as initial target beneficiaries of the output of the project. Deployment and field testing of the system prototype to identify initial beneficiaries, conduct of end-user training for partner beneficiaries, and filing of intellectual property applications. For the roadmap of Gul.AI project for 2021, deployment and field testing of Gul.AI and mobile web application, deployment and field testing of prototype of Gul.AI platform, generation of Gul.AI dataset. Once the output product is used by the target beneficiaries, plant growth datasets will be generated and housed in ASTI. Stored dataset can be used by ASTI researchers for further analysis. Machine learning or statistical model can be generated from the dataset, which can in turn be incorporated into succeeding smarter versions of the output product. And lastly, filing of IPs. For 2022, the project aims to develop vertically stackable version of Gulay plant growing platform, which aims to extend the current design of the Gulay platform into a two-level vertically stackable form factor to increase its plant growing capacity. Improvement of system prototype based on findings from prototype deployment and testing. Filing of IPs, and lastly, commercialization. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Rother. So before we proceed with our next speaker, we'd like to inform everyone that we'll also be posting copies of the video presentations on our official YouTube page after this event, as well as a full recording of the webinar. So again, we apologize for the audio issues that we experienced with some of the other presentations, but rest assured that we'll be improving the audio quality of the recordings we'll be uploading after this event. So our next speaker will be talking about Kooha, a social sensing network application. Our speaker is a graduate of UP Los Baños with a degree of Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. She also holds a master's degree in electrical engineering from UP Diliman. She is a research professional and a software engineer with more than 10 years of experience in information and communication technologies, research and development, and systems engineering. She leads various information systems development and R&D projects in the computer software division of the DOST-ASTI. She has an extensive experience in web and mobile application development to come up with software solutions designed to meet business needs. Please welcome Ms. Roxanne S. Aviñante.
Good day, everyone. I'll be presenting Kooha, a social sensing network application. We live in a data-driven society, and in every decision that we make, we look for data to help us make smart and proactive decisions. It may be as simple as choosing what clothes to wear depending on the weather data, or what gadgets to buy depending on the user reviews data, or even what business strategies to develop based on economic and market data. We can't deny how data affects our lives. But the problem is, do we have the data that we need? Is it enough? Is it reliable and relevant? Do we have sufficient equipment, system, and platform for data collection? Currently, most of the data that we have are just government records and registry data, which are apparently limited and not enough. Another challenge that we are facing is the development of gadgets, machines, and equipment that can help collect data. These few sources of data we have were collected using complicated and expensive IoT infrastructure that are costly and strenuous to implement. And the country's limited access to these IoT infrastructures hinder our capability to generating sufficient, relevant, and reliable data. So having said all these challenges, our proposed solution is through Kooha, a social sensing network application. The goal is to build a societally relevant and societally responsible social sensing network. So what is Kooha? Kooha is an application that enables real-time participatory photo and sensor data collection using smartphones and mobile devices. Photos and sensor data collected through the application will be used to draw out insights and generate new knowledge and technologies that can be used across sectors. Also, the application can be an aid to foster economic growth, improve efficiency and coverage of public services, and curate data for research purposes. With the use of Kooha, we can create our own niche to generate big data that can be used by researchers and data scientists in the country. So why the name Kooha? It is actually a wordplay of the Filipino word kuha or capture in English. So what are the objectives of the project? First is to carve out a niche for big data generation using available sensors in smartphones and external sensor devices. Second is to develop an online social network of students, enthusiasts, researchers, and citizen scientists built on the concept of sharing and mapping contributions of photographs and sensor data across the globe. Third is to empower the general public to contribute data to the scientific community. And lastly, to provide a medium for data scientists, researchers, and citizen scientists to make use of big data generated by Kooha to develop relevant applications. So what will happen to the data and images that users shared through Kooha? What's the added value of this technology to our society? And what makes this technology different from mainstream photo sharing and social media platforms? So here are some examples of use cases where Kooha data can be used. Say, for instance, you want to know where's the best place or location to spend a holiday with your families and friends. You may want to consider the location's network signal, how's the weather, how's the traffic condition, is the place crowded, or how active is the nightlife. Or say you're looking for an appropriate venue to celebrate a very special event, say birthday or anniversary. You may want to check if the place or venue is safe. Is it popular? Is it accessible to vehicles? How's the weather condition? What's the noise level in the location, etc. Or you're considering putting up or starting a business and choose the best location with high foot traffic, good ambience, low noise level, good network signal, active nightlife, and good traffic condition, for instance. Also, scientists can use Kooha data for scientific research using emerging technologies such as data analytics, computer vision, AI machine learning, Internet of Things, and other emerging technologies. Some example of use cases for scientists, research area, particularly on health science, a study wherein they can recognize physical and biological activities using motion sensor data uh, or detecting relationship of photos taken to lifestyle using computer vision. So the application will feed back information to users about their example caloric intake and help them adopt healthier eating patterns. Or weather-related data can be used to do thermal mapping and potentially be used in relation to studies on climate change or global warming. So those are some few relevant use cases and questions that Kuha can answer. You can make your captured photographs powerful through Kuha. And Kuha is a social network where anyone can record and share their photograph. And when a user share a photograph on Kuha, it becomes a contribution. Kuha will sense data as you take a photo, and data is shared with the global community of enthusiasts, researchers, and users where data can be used for further research studies. So why photos that go beyond moments? Alongside with your subject, whether it's a selfie or a groupie, a photograph of your favorite food or sceneries, the data from your mobile phone sensors are also being captured. Your devices have built-in sensors such as light sensor, proximity sensor, gyroscope, barometer, microphone, among others. And the application collects data from these sensors. And photos shared by Kuha users will not just be viewed, reacted, or shared by other users. They can be a powerful source of information that will help us make informed decisions, just like the use cases we mentioned earlier. Okay, the project is categorized under the industry, energy, and emerging technology R&D agenda, and state-of-the-art technologies such as machine learning, artificial intelligence, and data analytics can be used to draw out insights and develop potential applications out of the big data generated by the applications. Some of the notable significance of the project, first is big data generation, and then societally relevant and societally responsible social network, and promotion of citizen science. So the goal is to make useful contribution to the scientific community, and every shared photograph and data will become a contribution that can be an aid for instance, decision making. So how can we start sharing our photos with Kuha? We have 4 simple steps. First is to download the application and then capture or take a photograph, then sign up or register to create an account, and share the photo and data to other Kuha users. So this is a quick preview of the Kuha mobile application that we're currently developing. So what you can see on your screen is the community feed, where you can view all the images and data shared by other users. And the photos are also geotagged if the user allows the use of cellular location, and it will be plotted on a map. So we have 2 target products for this year, the mobile and the web applications. Now, at the moment, we are preparing for the data test, and we temporarily unpublish the application from Play Store to conduct data testing. And the website can be accessed through the URL kooha.asti.dost.gov.ph. Some of our tech transfer initiatives, we have conducted or we have prepared project evaluation, and we have conducted stakeholders meeting with the help of our technology licensing office unit. We had our initial PR launch last March, and with the help of our Corcom unit, we have social media promotions and presence. So for our roadmap for 2021 to 2022, this is a short-term direction. So our goal for this year is to deploy the mobile and web applications, and then to conduct data tests and establish user base and data, and IP filing and patent application. For 2022, which is the target end of the project, is to deploy API gateways to make the data available for interested parties, researchers, and scientists. And we will have our preliminary data analysis and plans for commercialization and continuous improvement and maintenance. So we believe that Kooha is one of the scientific innovations developed by DOST that has a great potential in promoting science and technology to enhance innovation and creative capacity towards self-sustaining, inclusive development of the country. So, Kooha, photos that go beyond moments. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, Ma'am Rox. Our next speaker will be talking about ASTI's digitalization initiatives, specifically the Enterprise Resource Planning System, procurement, and the Human Resource Information System. He has 9 years of solid experience on web application development and has an extensive knowledge on PHP, HTML, SQL, and business process management tools such as Process Maker. He is the senior developer of DOST-ASTI's Enterprise Resource Planning Solutions. Please welcome Mr. Onion George C. Kimson.
Hello everyone, I am privileged to share with you ASTI's successful initiatives in digitalization. So without further ado, let's begin. Digitalization has been changing the world for the past decades, but COVID-19 pandemic has amplified its relevance. While many organizations might have been caught off guard by the sudden shift to work from home setup and heavily reliance on digital technology, ASTI was ready and was able to adapt seamlessly. Wanna know how? Let's find out. Over the years, the Institute has been investing on ICT. We have been promoting video conferencing, using digital certificates in signing documents, and automating common administrative processes in the government. As early as 2000, we have been using a web-based solution to store and manage data. From then on, ASTI has been continuously turning its manual processes to online. In 2015, we launched the Enterprise Resource Planning System. By 2016, we started online signing of DTR, which is why, as early as 2017, all employees were able to sign their DTRs online. These are the products of ASTI's initiative. The ERP system is being used by ASTI since 2015. It's being accessed daily for the generation of procurement forms, records management, and reservation of equipment, room, and vehicle. The procurement system, on the other hand, is an extensive application for government procurement. If you are familiar with Lazada, Shopee, or Amazon, you will notice similar experience when using the system. It facilitates purchase of goods and services conveniently. Lastly, the HR Information System is a web-based application that automates HR management processes. It is envisioned to serve as an enabler of achieving full HRM maturity based on CSC standards. Para mas ma-appreciate natin, let's check the systems. Okay, let's start with the ERP system. It has the following main module. First, the personal records, where you can manage your employee records, apply leave and pass leave, and process DTR. The approval process is also done on the system, thereby saving time and effort. Second, knowledge assets. It serves as digital library where you can upload documents like memo, special order, and any other written documents. It enables faster document retrieval and eliminates document loss. We also have modules that facilitate reservation of vehicle, equipment, and room. Kwento lang po, during this pandemic, mas nagamit namin yung transport reservation sa pagsundo at pag-attend ng aming frontliners. The procurement module are for the generation of procurement forms. Purchase items are managed in the equipment and supply inventory. Dito din natin makikita yung mga items na meron kang accountability. Lastly, we have repairs and maintenance and other peripheral modules like FAQs, system setup, and activity log. The most accessed feature of the system is the generation of procurement documents such as purchase request, invitation to bid, and abstract of bids and canvas. Makikita nyo po, ito po yung created purchase request list. So, ito naman po yung create form. After natin makapag-create, pwede na po natin ma-view yung generated PR form. So, ganito po ang itsura niya. One notable feature of the system is the online DTR signing. In just a few clicks, makakapag-sign na po tayo ng DTR. Para naman sa mga bossing na madaming pinipirma na DTR, say more than 30 DTRs, easy lang po yan. Just select all the DTRs and click sign. Pwede na natin iwan yung system at mag-move on sa next task. Ito po yung makikita natin pag binuksan natin yung signed DTR. Kung mapapansin nyo po, nag-reflect na po yung signature sa document. During the pandemic, the system has been proven effective in ensuring continuity in ASTI's administrative processes. The next system is the procurement system. The ERP system has few features on procurement. That is why we developed an entire system to cover the end-to-end process of procurement from planning to issuance of purchase order. One feature that is worth emphasizing is the item catalog. Dito makikita yung mga items na karaniwang binibili ng ahensya, including yung specifications at price ng bawat item. During procurement planning, pipili lang tayo ng item sa catalog, and then pag nag-display na yung details niya, kailangan lang natin reviewin kung ito ba talaga yung gusto nating bilhin. So kapag okay na tayo, click lang natin submit. So parang Lazada lang, di ba? The procurement system is expected to improve ASTI's performance on procurement while increasing transparency. Last but not the least is the HR information system. Like procurement, HR management process is also extensive. The CSE identified the core system of HRM, and our vision is to make them online. Last year, we started with the first phase, the recruitment, selection, and placement. In this system, hiring process can be initiated and completed. It captures posting of vacancies, evaluation of applicants, up to the onboarding of selected candidates. We also developed a portal wherein applicants can search for a job vacancy and submit application with corresponding documentary requirements. Para siyang job street na mas malawak yung scope. In other job posting sites, applicants can apply for jobs and be scheduled for interview. But our system guides the applicant from application to the creation of employee records. Our efforts are in line with the Anti-Red Tape Act, the ISO 9001 standard, and the performance-based incentive of the government. We hope that with our project, we may improve our processes and deliver better services even during a pandemic. Beyond this, our vision is to see our government maximize the use of ICT, hindi lang sa external services, kundi pati sa critical internal services. Alam nyo ba, noong 2018, out of the 2,359 reported government services, 54 lang or 2.3% ang internal e-services. Base sa data na ito, mas invested ang ating government sa mga online systems para sa public-facing services kaysa sa mga internal services. Only about half of these e-services are being used, while the other half is either under development or entirely not being used. In terms of electronic HRM, only 46 out of 205 government agencies have HR systems, which are at different levels of maturity. Therefore, it can be concluded that the HR process of the government are generally manual in nature. The effect could be less productivity and employee development, since the focus is doing manual tasks. With our solutions and technical expertise, we think that we can help the other government agencies, especially the ones that do not have the resources to develop one. Help us help other government agencies by supporting our cause. Cheers to achieving a digital Philippine government. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Onion. Excuse me. Now, before we proceed with our event, maybe just remind everyone that you can access the resource files for today's event via the ASTI website or by scanning the QR code now on your screen. This will take you to the official event page where you can download the presentations, speaker profiles, and other reference materials in line with our program for today. Now, for the next portion of our program, we have once again our DOST-ASTI director. To talk further about the current legislative agenda within the science, technology, and innovation scene, please welcome Dr. Francis Junta de Leon.
Thank you, Nicole. So I'll just share my screen. The previous presentations show how ASTI has been fulfilling its mandate to provide technology solutions in support of a productive and resilient society. These presentations, the webinar as a whole, aims to emphasize the need for legislative support that enables ASTI to contribute more and enhance its capabilities. These are our objectives falling under the visualized framework of ASTI's modernization. We want to upgrade our resources and operational techniques. We want to enhance our capabilities both in R&D and in our technical services as well, and cap all of these with a more competitive pay and benefits to our people. Several years ago, the Electronics Product Development Center, or EPDC, was established. It is recognized as a world-class facility designed to support the electronics industry by providing various technical support services to promote innovation and high-quality value product development. The slide shows the availability of the services as well as the upcoming services. These include prototyping PCBs to PCB assembly, to providing electromagnetic compatibility and interference tests, product safety tests for simple devices to ventilators and robotic equipment. Through the help of the Electronics Industry Association of the Philippines Incorporated, or EAPI, the EPDC have also established remarkable partnerships in the industry, academe, and international organizations. Through its prototyping and testing services, it helps its clients develop products that meet industry specifications and standards. Moreover, the EPDC gives the economical advantage by providing world-class services at competitive rates and in a timely manner, rather than other options abroad. Now, flashed on the screen is the allotted budget managed by ASTI from 2018 to 2020, both for the Project 2 of the EPIIC program and its R&D component, the EPIC Garage. It is recognized that a significant amount of budget is necessary to maintain EPDC's facilities and further expand its services. While efforts are made to increase EPDC's clientele, the reality is that it will take several years before EPDC's self-sustainability will be achieved. Hence, for EPDC, our legislative agenda is to position EPDC as a key enabler for economic recovery. This can be done in two approaches. The first is to transactionalize EPD services by encouraging local companies to utilize its services. The second is to institutionalize EPDC that will guarantee adequate budgetary support to maintain its quality of service. Next. The SMT infrastructures maintained by the DOST-ASTI, called the Information Network for Open and Viable Applications and Technology Exchange, or INNOVATE, is comprised of the National Research and Education Network, called the Philippine Research, Education, and Government Information Network, or PREGINET, and a national HPC and Science Cloud facility called the Computing and Archiving Research Environment, or CORE. A significant part of these infrastructures are the partnerships and collaborations that we undertake. And these are the activities that we put value into this SMT infrastructure. Currently, we maintain a strong alliance with SUCs that have strong research programs And these SUCs act as our hubs in strategic locations across the country. Over the network layer, DOST-ASTI has likewise set up the systems and applications layer through the establishment of a high-performance computing, or HPC, data archiving and science cloud facility called CORE. Now, since 2008, the Institute has gained considerable competence in HPC and cloud computing. Presently, CORE caters to diverse users that include meteorologists, weather scientists, climate researchers, and others. Now, in terms of historical timeline, these are our numbers on the computing and storage capacity of CORE through the years. Over the recent years, we observed an increasing need for more storage and computing requirements. This is a good sign, as it infers an increasing amount of R&D activities in the country. Now, given the increasing trend, we want to position the INNOVATE program as a key enabler for innovation. By institutionalizing the INNOVATE program, ASTI will have the capacity to meet the increasing demands for computing power and storage requirements, especially as the country positions itself for Industry 4.0. Now, our last agenda is concerned with its human resources. Now on the screen is our current employment status count and the educational attainment categorization of our staff. Current data shows the limited number of plantilla items, while most of its staff and are bachelor's degree holders. Now on the screen are our data on the number of staff that were hired and resigned from 2016 to 2020. Now, unfortunately, with the current situation, it became increasingly more difficult to keep our staff. We hope that with the help of legislation, working at ASTI will become more rewarding. Our legislative agenda is to make our human resource development program the key enabler for professionalism and increased commitment within the agency. To put this into action, part of our vision includes a new salary scale for the staff, as well as personnel retention incentive. To summarize, we presented 3 priority areas where legislative support is needed. When successfully enacted, the DOST-ASTI can surely meet the increasing demands of delivering technology solutions in support of a productive and resilient Filipino society. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc Franz. For the last portion of our online event, we will now proceed with the open forum and Q&A with our speakers. Joining us in this portion of the event is Ma'am Juviden Castañeda from the Planning Unit of the DOST-ASTI in moderating the open forum. So before we proceed with our Q&A session, may we remind participants to click the raise hand button if you want to ask your question live, and we will try our best to acknowledge you accordingly within our time limit for the open forum, so you can unmute and turn your camera on as needed. Otherwise, feel free to type in your questions, comments, and feedback through the chat pane here in the Zoom room, so we can also adjust them accordingly. So I think some of our guests have already communicated their questions here in Zoom and also through Facebook Live. So later on during our Q&A portion, we'll be flashing those questions here on our screen. So Ma'am Juvie, would you like to take over for this?
Okay, so good morning, everyone. I'm Juvie Castañeda. I will be the moderator for the Q&A session. So to start, can we have the first question, Nikki? Okay, so the first question is from Sir Vicente Camilon Jr. Good morning. How does the DOST protect our science and technology infrastructures from present and future risks and threats? I think this question can be answered by Ms. Jeng Tetangco.
Good morning. To answer Representative Camilon Jr.'s question, sir, I have the following answer. So first, that's why we have replica sites po. So as I've mentioned in my presentation, we have 3 sites. So one in ASTI, one in DICT, and one at a commercial data center in Makati. So that's the purpose of replica sites. So in case one site goes down, may fail over for the other sites. At the same time, we are also going to set up a disaster recovery site in Subic. And this data center is owned and managed by the ICT. So as we have been informed by the ICT po, by first quarter of 2022, the data center will be operational. And they've communicated with us and asked us how many racks we need. So that disaster recovery site is really intended as a disaster recovery site at the same time an active site po. So as we all know, di ba po, meron yung ine-expect or ina-anticipate na big one. So knock on wood, but if ever that happens, yung disaster recovery site yung magiging active or fail over po dun sa resources ng ASTI. And then at the same time po, we also need to invest in mga technical solutions, and part of this is yung pag-upgrade po ng facilities and servers that we have to be able to continue yung optimizing the resources that we have at ASTI. And then fourth, we need to also invest in our people, as what Director Franz emphasized in his presentation, because maintaining a research and education network and HPC facility is a specialized skill. So we really need to take care of the people that we have who are managing the science and technology infrastructures. So I hope that answers po yung question niyo po.
Thank you very much, Jeng. Director Franz, would you like to add?
Yeah, siguro po hindi lang naman po hardware yung kailangan natin i-protect against future risks and threats. Nabanggit na rin naman ni Ms. Jeng, of course, our human capital, our human resources. Kasi kahit nandiyan naman yung hardware, kung wala naman po yung tao na magpapatakbo po nito, mahihirapan din po tayo. So for that, we make sure that we continuously engage in capacity building and skill sharing. Also within ASTI, di ba, we are proud that we have our knowledge management system para yung institutional memory and know-how nakadocument po ng maayos para pag may kailangang malaman or hugutin, even in the future, naka-archive po sila. So moving, of course, being more proactive, of course, with proper planning and sharing best practices, we ensure that kung ano yung pinaka-critical sa atin, we will make sure na protektado sila against future threats. Thank you, Ma'am Juby.
Thank you, Director Franz. For the next question, it is from Ma'am Maria Lourdes Mendoza. Good morning. How can DOST help Philippine Statistics Authority and LGUs in the community-based monitoring system, which is expected to generate a credible and timely database about the poor? Keith, can you answer this question?
Yes po. Hello po, Ma'am Maria Lourdes Mendoza. I'm not that familiar with the CBMS, but if, sorry, narinig niyo po ba ako?
Yes, Keith.
Pasensya na po if medyo maingay kasi may nagkakarpintero po malapit sa amin. With regards to the CBMS, if it will have to generate a mega database, you will need data, and if it includes geotagging dun sa usual na data gathering po ng mga tao from PSA, our team would be able to help kung data gathering po yung main goal of the program. Our AI-based maps na na-develop po namin has a geotagging or geolocation functionality, and ang pwede pong sigurong magawa off the top of my head is as PSA is conducting their surveys for the CBMS, pwede po sigurong mag-include ng geotagging locations doon sa kanilang equipment, and then we can associate those geotagging locations with our satellite images dito po sa ASTI to further improve po yung geolocation and geographical tagging noong mga information na magagather po natin on ground. So yun po, I guess with close coordination po with PSA, we can improve those workflows and functionalities. Pero rest assured po na with the spatial capability of ASTI, malaking may tulong po nito sa geotagging purposes po ng CBMS po ng PSA. Yun po. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Keith. For the next question, it's again from Sir Vicente Camilon Jr. Are other agencies able to fully access and maximize the data, information, knowledge, and other resources of DOST to carry out their mandate, especially DSWD, NAPSI, PSA, DILG? So I think this question is directed to our director, Dr. Franz.
Hi. Yes po, of course, that's a major part of ASTI's mandate. So as an ICT institution, so trabaho po namin to collect information, store, possibly process, and of course, share those information. So malaking part po ng activities namin is to share the knowledge and the information that we have. So kung institutional po ang access, tulad po ng mga nabanggit na institutions, of course, simple lang po siya, simple MOA to establish the partnership and agreement on what data to be shared, as well as, of course, observing the pertinent laws on confidentiality and privacy. Now, hindi lang naman po limitado sa government agencies yung pag-share po natin ng data. In fact, many projects po sa atin, they are open to sharing data as well. So they have their own portals. Yung iba po napakita po kanina, like sa siyasat po. So many of our projects have their own portal where the public can share. And even with the EFOI website, wherein the public can lodge their request for information, marami pong request na napapadaan po through ASTI requesting on certain information. And depending on the nature, usually napagbibigyan naman po yung information requested. Yun lang po.
Thank you, Doc Franz. Nikki, can we have the next question, please? Okay, so the next question is from Sir Donald Amado Caballero. As far as contract tracing is concerned, what are the initiatives of DOST-ASTI contributed to help LGU and national governments such as DOH for the Stay Safe policy? Keith, can you answer this question?
Insofar as contact tracing po siguro is concerned, yes, insofar as contact tracing po is concerned siguro, we have not done an exact contact tracing application, pero we have made a prototype na pwede po siyang magamit for contact tracing. If you'll allow mo siguro to share the screen, baka pwede ko pong i-share yung isang prototype namin. Can I share the screen po? Kita niyo po yung screen ko ngayon?
Yes, Keith.
Ayan. So ito pong dinevelop namin na prototype is for CCTV detection po no social distancing violations. So in terms of contact tracing, this can be used kasi pwede pong matag yung mga personnel that violates social distancing violations. And it can also be used for geotagging yung locations ng mga personnel. So for contact tracing purposes, we can actually derive from this application, the CCTV application, a network of quote-unquote violators of the social distancing violations. And if may isa po sa kanila siguro na natag as positive or in monitoring, then we can associate that network with the other personnel po na natag doon dun sa CCTV app. Yun po yung I think pinakamalapit na na application na nagawa namin. I think other teams in ASTI has also developed an application for LGU purposes, operation center monitoring system for LGUs. I'm not that familiar with the application, pero it says here in their report that it is to develop a system for LGUs that can illustrate the interaction between confirmed patients, PUIs, and PUMs up to the barangay level. And for its wave 2, the system can provide a prescriptive information on areas most frequent by confirmed patients. PUIs and PUMs, though, through location history that can be helpful in decision making for localized barangay level lockdowns. So this was developed last year, 2020, during the kasagsagan po ng COVID pandemic. So yun, if there are, kung sa fellow speakers po natin, if you have other efforts for the contact tracing purposes ng COVID pandemic, you can really butt in po.
Okay, thank you, Keith.
Ma'am Juvie, can
Yes,
I just
Jeng?
add?
Yes.
So I think yung the last one mentioned by Kit was the collaboration with SGV. It's a COVID-19 Operations Center monitoring dashboard and data platform. Tama ba, Kit? So that's actually intended for LGU monitoring of cases, and the pilot implementation of that was in Davao City. And then the Cebu LGU also is already adopting that. And then aside from that, as I've mentioned, although hindi ko po kasi na detalye, so I apologize. Dun sa mga COVID initiatives that we support, one of that is it's a collaboration between the UP Diliman Engineering Department and DOTR. It's the Safe Travel PH. Now this Safe Travel PH is hold on, just checking. Ayun. It's for real-time fleet monitoring and evaluation of public transport services, but it can also be used as a contact tracing app, or a module can be added to that para mag-contribute siya or mag-act siya, mag-function siya as a contact tracing app. So that's another contact tracing app that we are supporting po. And aside from that, this is not a contact tracing app, but we are also working with DOH dun po sa FASTER project. So we're also providing resources to them for that. At the same time, may DOST Regional 6 na initiative, yung SPAS, which is the Safe, Swift, and Smart Passage. So this is a web-based travel and mobility management system that has already been adopted by IATF and DILG for nationwide deployment and implementation. So in the last meeting with ARTA, ang nasabi lang po ng DOST RO6 when this was raised is yes, they can add a functionality to that to serve as a contact tracing app as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Jeng. Next question is from, again, Sir Vicente Camilan Jr. And this is for Ruth Copino. How does Gul.AI help poor farmers?
Hello po, good morning. Sorry po, medyo maingay lang sa background ko. To answer po the question from House Representative Vicente Camilan Jr. po, how does Gul.AI help poor farmers? May I go back to the significance po of the project, where the project aims to address the disinterest of youth in agriculture by providing innovative solutions and applications of ICT to agriculture, and developing an experiment platform for students, researchers in the field of crop science and plant breeding, which are the target beneficiaries po of the Gul.AI project, wherein they can conduct experiments and research work regarding the data on the plant growth that will be generated sa gulay system po. The output of their work will later on be of help sa local farmers natin once the data has been processed and analyzed by our researchers.
Okay, thank you, Ruth. Next question is from Ma'am Maria Rita Macabulos. It's on AI. Can AI be able to monitor the change of topography of localities and identify new flood-prone areas? I think Keith can answer this question, and also Jeanette later on. Keith first.
Hello po, good morning Ma'am Rita. The question is actually, may two areas po for that question. The first one is the change of topography of localities, and the second one is the new flood-prone areas. In terms po dun sa new flood-prone areas, sorry po, pasensya na medyo maingay, pero yung new flood-prone areas po, we can actually identify new flood-prone areas by actually analyzing the historical data po ng mga pre-produce po namin na ng mga flood maps dun sa particular area. So if we're going to analyze the historical presence po ng flooding dun sa area, pwede po tayong maka-identify ng mga hotspots na pwede po natin sigurong i-monitor every time na magkakaroon po tayo ng extreme weather event doon sa area. So yun, we can explore the historical data of the flood maps doon sa locality po ng area ninyo to identify yung mga hotspots ng flood-prone areas. In terms of the change in topography, monitoring the change in topography using artificial intelligence, theoretically and technically it can be. Pero as with any AI endeavor, we would need a lot of historical data to train the model for detecting or monitoring the change of topography. And data is actually a tricky thing kasi it's actually a very tricky thing kasi dun sa yung data na nasa locality nyo, baka hindi extensive enough or hindi extensive enough yung data historically to be able to produce a good model for detecting the changes in topography. We can do away with derivative data for this application. Pero in terms of remote sensing data, baka po kulang yung data nandun po sa locality. In modeling po yung change of topography in this area. So to answer the question, yes, it is possible technically, but we would have to explore po yung inventory po natin ng data doon sa lugar kung kaya po makapaggawa ng matinong model for that. So I hope that answers your question po.
Would you like to add, Jeanette? Thank you, Keith.
Parang nasagot na ni Keith. To add lang, siguro mas magiging maganda yung results po ng artificial intelligence if gamitin din po yung mga satellite images po nakuha ng PEDRO. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Jeanette. Next question, please. Meron po bang training manual for this? This is from Mr. Ralph Paladan. I think he's referring to our weather stations. Jeanette, please
Hello,
answer.
good morning.
Yes.
Good morning, sir. Sir, yes, we do have training manual po for the MASID, but it is usually provided only to licensees po at saka project partners po. This is as per indicated po sa technical license agreement natin. Ayan lang po.
Thank you, Jeanette. Next. So again, it's from Ma'am Rita Macabulos. Are images forwarded to Kooha subject to copyright even if such are for contribution purposes? Rox, can you please answer the question?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am Rita, yes po. As soon as the image is snapped or saved or shared through the Kooha application, a legal protection is automatically given to the creator. When you say image copyright, it is image ownership. So the data subject has full ownership of the content they share, and the DOST-ASTI does not claim ownership of the content. We will include this section in our terms and conditions, that by using Kooha, they are just assigning the photos and other data for ASTI's research and development purposes only. So I hope I answered the question.
Thank you, Rox. Next.
Ma'am Juvi, I think that's all of the
Okay,
questions.
so that ends.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
thank you everyone for your active participation. Back to you, Nicole.
Yes, thank you, Ma'am Juvi. Okay, so that ends our question and answer portion. So we would like to thank everyone for their questions, and we apologize that we were not able to accommodate all of them because of our time restriction. But you can send your questions to info@asti.gov.ph, I'm sorry, and we will make sure to answer them the best way that we can. So that has been it for our question and answer portion. We would like to thank our guests for your questions and your active participation throughout the program. So now flashed on your screen is the email that you can reach out to for any additional questions or inquiries that you may have. So I think we also have one more question regarding the attendance sheet. So yes, we do have a record of the attendance sheet, and after this program, we will be sending out certificates of participation to everyone who attended our event. So before we end this event, may we call on our next speaker for the closing remarks. She is the director and head of the DLLO DOST. The DLLO, or the Department Legislative Liaison Office, is responsible for crafting science legislations, shepherding and advocacy for passage of landmark bills of the department, such as the Magna Carta for Scientists, the Philippine Space Act, the Balik Scientist Act, and the Pag-asa Modernization Act, among many others. The DLLO also provides assistance in drafting of the implementing rules and regulations. Please welcome Director Dita Suerte Felipe.
Good afternoon na ba? Magandang umaga. We would like to thank our presenters for this webinar. This is actually our 11th webinar for this year. And we're so happy that ASTI agreed to give us a presentation, a webinar, because this is the first time we have featured ASTI as an agency with our newly installed director, Dr. Franz. On behalf of the Department of Science and Technology, we would like to thank you, Dr. Franz, and your team, the ASTI team, for this very insightful and informative presentations. Really, the programs being pursued by ASTI is geared towards achieving a digital Philippines, and at the core of all of this is actually the modernization of ASTI as our lead or premier advanced science and technology research institute. Allow us also to thank our Congressman and Chair of the Science and Technology of the House of Representatives, Congressman Erico Aristotel Aumentado, and our COMSEC, pinakamasipag na COMSEC ko, Donald Amado Dax Caballero. We have partnered for around 20 plus webinars starting late 2020. And this one because and to date, and allow us also to thank our COMSECs, and we've seen the interest of our COMSECs in attending science and technology webinars. That gives us a big delight because our science and technology programs are of interest to them. And we hope that we will be able to further these collaborations with respect to educating and updating the knowledge of our technical people, legislative people, and committee secretaries and senior legislative officers of Congress towards better or much better appreciation of science, technology, and innovation. And with that, we would like to thank all of our friends in Congress and our ASTI team, and of course, lion's share of it is for Donald Amado Dax Caballero, our committee secretary. Thank you and good day to all.
Thank you very much, Director Lita. So as we close the event, we would also like to thank the following guests from the House of Representatives: Comsec Tita Macabulos, Committee on Agrarian Reform; Comsec Val Palanca, Committee on Trade and Industry; Comsec Maria Lourdes Mendoza, Committee on Poverty Alleviation; Comsec Estenelli Solis, Committee on Youth and Sports Affairs; Comsec Cheryl Posadas, Committee on Sustainable Development Goals; Comsec John Francis Panoncillo, Committee on Transportation; Comsec Aleli Gumpal, Committee on Southern Tagalog; Comsec Abby Apostol, Committee on Land Use; Comsec Mariel Ursal, Committee on Cooperatives Development; Comsec Glenda Daco, Committee on Climate Change; and Comsec Michelle, Committee on Food Security. We would also like to thank the Committee on Mindanao Affairs, Committee on Labor and Employment, Committee on Science and Technology, Committee on Agrarian Reform, Committee on Suffrage and Electoral Reforms, Committee on Rural Development, Committee on Housing and Urban Development, Committee on Games and Amusement, Committee on Women and Gender Equality, Committee on Creative Industries, and the Committee on Legislative Franchise. So again, before we end this event, make sure to access the resource files for today's event via the ASTI website by scanning the QR code now on your screen. This will take you to the official event page where you can download the presentations, speaker profiles, and other reference materials in line with our program for today. And that ends the Masulong na Agham at Teknolohiya Para sa Kaunlaran webinar. But before you all go, may we request everyone to turn on their cameras for a quick photo op. Okay, so we have 3 galleries for this webinar. So everyone, for the first gallery, please smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay. For the next one. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Smile. Thank you. So for the others who did not turn on their cameras, we encourage you to please turn on your cameras. Okay, so for the third gallery. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. And that ends the Masulong na Agham at Teknolohiya Para sa Kaunlaran webinar. On behalf of the DOST-ASTI, thank you very much for being with us today. This has been Nicole Chavez. Stay safe and healthy and enjoy the rest of your day.